All right, the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The whole goal here is to prevent the student behavior from getting to a point where you need to actually put somebody on a discipline referral. So let's talk about some of these things. I've done videos on a number of these things. Place your desk in the back of the room. I talked about that when I recorded a video about setting up your classroom for success before school even begins. So you want to place your desk, if possible, in the back of the classroom, because when students are getting ready to misbehave, they'll actually turn around and look at you before they misbehave. Again, if you've not seen the video, things you should do before school begins, I highly recommend you go to that video and watch it. Seating chart. Again, I did a video on the seating chart. The seating chart is a very, very powerful tool and very, very underutilized. Um, the proximity of students to each other is key. If you have three students clumped together who like to create a little mischief, you might want to separate them into different corners of the classroom and put them next to people who do their work. Again, if you've not seen the video on seating charts, I highly recommend you watch my video on seating charts, and I actually go through in detail how to handle situations like that. You also might want to move them closer to the teacher so that you can refocus them and redirect them to what they need to be doing. Lesson plans. If you've not seen my lesson or my video on lesson plans, I highly recommend you watch. Lesson plans are key. If students are getting finished early, you should always have extra activities for them to do, basically starting on work for the next day or a couple days later. The other thing you can do with lesson plans is make sure that you vary your activities. Remember, these students are stuck in a desk for hours over the course of a day. They get breaks when they're walking around the halls or to lunch and things, but typically they're stuck in their desk for hours. So you want to vary your activities. If you're just doing 45 minutes or an hour of notes and they're just sitting there writing, invariably that's difficult even for us. So keep that in mind. You might want, a lot of times if I'm going to give a lot of notes, I'll take breaks every 15 minutes, let them stretch for 2 or 3 minutes, and then get them back on task just to keep them awake. So keep that in mind. Rules and structure. Your rules should be displayed and every student should know them. You're going to go over your rules day 1 and you're going to repeat your rules days 2 through 10 to where the students know your rules and your expectations. That way there's no surprises and they know exactly what you expect from them. Students crave structure. A lot of people have this misnomer that popular teachers are the ones that let students do what they want. Students typically don't do well in that environment. When you just are not prepared and let students have their reign of what they want to do, typically they don't like those teachers. It's cool for a few weeks, but after a while, they're just like bored and don't like it in there. So they crave structure. So the more structure you put in place, you'll be surprised. Students really crave it. I talked about the first 10 days and I have a video on the first 10 days of school that you should go and watch. The first 10 days is critical. That is the time where you are going to create the culture and it will determine how the rest of your school year goes. Another preventative measure is positive parent phone calls. If you make some positive parent phone calls, especially with those students you know there's a probability that you may have to call home about, you gain a lot of credibility with that parent and even with that student. Try it. See how you like it. Call a few parents of students you're worried may end up having some discipline issues later in the year. You know who they are after a few days. You can tell who is usually after 5 or 6 or 7 days. You can tell which students you may eventually need to have some discipline interventions with. So call and find a reason to call home and watch my video about parent phone calls. I go into great depth into what you should do. Again, I feel like I'm promoting all these videos, but I'm just touching on things right now, and each of these videos takes it in great depth of things that you can do and should know. Circulate. Go through the classroom every few minutes, every 5 or 10 minutes, and just make sure everybody's on task. And if you see someone misbehaving, move in that direction. A lot of times you can get them back on task without even saying anything, just with the teacher look or, come on, man. Um, get them back on task without really any significant discipline at all. You just walk over, move to their desk, and a lot of times that's enough to redirect them to get back on task. And last but not least, maintain a sense of humor. Just remember we were all that age one time, and sometimes they're actually funny. And again, I always, if you can't laugh at it, I mean, obviously there's some things that are very serious you can't laugh at, but some of the stuff that they get in trouble for, you can have a chuckle. You still discipline them, but have a sense of humor.